The helpful content update that ran back in the middle of September 2023 was arguably the most disruptive and some might say destructive algorithm change that Google has made in over a decade. Thousands of small publishers who had created valuable sites in niche topics have seen their businesses decimated. Even to this day, some 5 months later at the time of recording, you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who can consistently tell you what helpful content is, even on Google's site. I mean, if their own algorithms were grading the helpfulness of their guidance, that would be a straight-up 80% traffic drop and get outranked by Reddit and Quora treatment. Actually, that's exactly what's happening, as their Reddit partnership announcement post is now outranked by outdated, unrelated Reddit posts as pointed out by Lily Ray. Anyway, back to the story. Respected SEO professional and recently fired Google quality rater Cyrus Research, who I interviewed recently on our podcast, released an article looking for the patterns that may have caused HCU drops. Now, as Cyrus says, correlation is not causation. So even if there appears to be a pattern of similarities, that doesn't mean this is the cause. But let's skip past the rhetoric and logic lessons and cut to the chase. Cyrus looked at 50 sites across various markets and documented their progress over the last few months. What he found was that there are a few correlations among certain elements of on-page content among the winners and losers. In simple terms, when you remove the noise, there are a few things that some winners have that losers don't, and vice versa. And we're going to be focusing on a few highlights, but if you want to know more, check out Cyrus' post in the link in the description below. The highest correlation for a negative association was fixed footer ads that scrolled, followed very closely by fixed video ads, which probably doesn't make the reps at Mediavine or Raptive very happy right now. But if you think about it, this makes a lot of sense in terms of user experience. Ads that stay fixed in place often take up prominent screen real estate and are not great for user experience. And so you could see Google's machine learning algorithm punishing sites that use this ad style extensively, and particularly on mobile, where screen real estate is limited. There were several other features that had Cyrus deemed a strong negative impact correlation, including stock images, the number of ads on page, push notifications, and mega menus for some reason. Now, I'm not sure about the stock images one. I mean, that feels more like a correlation rather than causation. You could argue that Google wants to show experience and that having your own photos is a good trust signal and a sign of authority, but it also seems like a lot of compute power for Google to analyze this at such a broad level. My guess is that Google rewards this through the proxy of user metrics like dwell time rather than dedicated images metrics, which could create correlation and not causation. In terms of positive impact features, nothing met Cyrus' very strong evidence threshold, but there were a couple that met the criteria for strong. The use of first-person pronouns showing first-hand experience and having a cookie consent form all fell into the positive correlation with strong evidence level. Again, I think the cookie consent form is correlation and not causation. Cyrus mentions something similar, but generally speaking, authority sites that focus on adhering to regulations strictly are more likely to have these consent forms, so I'd go as far as to suggest this might be a coincidence. But the other two are related. Demonstrating more first-hand experience with the subject of your content has become the meta for probably the last year and something we've had in our training for a while. It's the experience part of EEAT. And while Danny Sullivan from Google has recently come out several times and said EEAT is not a ranking factor, I don't think you should take his word at face value, especially as correlation studies like this one show it has a positive impact on rankings. While Google engineers may not have hard-coded factors like first-person pronouns or any other EEAT factors for that matter, the data that they feed their machine learning systems is heavily biased towards it via their quality raters that are specifically instructed to rate these sites high on the QRG guidelines. This data is then used to train AI models that look to reward sites that share similar traits to those flagged as good by quality raters, and bam, EEAT is a factor even if it isn't, as Cyrus study shows. Good try lawyering us, Danny. Now, where does this leave us? Well, I'm not certain we're any better off, to be honest. Understanding HCU is actually a two-part equation, and studies like this only look at the first part. Can we identify what aspects of the content cause the site to be flagged as not having helpful content? And it's the second part that's way more problematic. What can we do about it, and is it fixable? Before we go into the whole recovery debate, let's start by saying that Danny Sullivan from Google has said publicly in speaking engagements and on Twitter that recovering is possible and could take as little as a few weeks. On Twitter, Morgan Overholt said explicitly that Danny Sullivan said at the Google Publisher Conference that the classifier removal could take a couple of weeks. Not only that, Morgan said she had a recording of the event and was willing to share it with Barry Schwartz, who subsequently agreed that Danny Sullivan in fact said it would take 2 weeks. Of course, Barry later backtracked and said, no, to be clear, he didn't say 2 weeks. He said a couple of weeks. I don't know about you, but I'd personally love to hear that recording because multiple people have now said 2 weeks and then backtracked to say a couple of weeks when Danny vigorously said he didn't say that. But anyway, a couple of weeks is not 5 months and counting. Even if it is possible to recover and we should take Danny at his word, has anyone done it? Despite what some people are suggesting, I don't think we've seen any evidence of a site that's been hit severely by the HCU recovering. And by recovering, I mean that the pages that were impacted have recovered most or all of their traffic, and the site has rebounded in a large extent because of something they've done. I mean, there are some shady SEO experts who are desperate to suggest that they've recovered the site for a client because that would be incredibly lucrative. So many sites have been hit that they could literally charge thousands of dollars a day to help sites recover, and people would be happy to pay for it. Another related problem is that a lot of people are misdiagnosing HCU when really their site lost rankings for other reasons. Google gave their traffic to Reddit. So where does this leave us? Well, almost back where we started, sadly. Despite some good research and analysis being done by people like Cyrus Research and numerous other incredible SEOs in the community, nobody can pin down exactly what triggers the HCU flag. And really, it's become a chicken and the egg problem. If you can't identify what caused the problem, then how can you recover? And if you can't demonstrate a recovery, you're unable to validate your hypothesis about the cause in the first place. As I've said before, HCU is easily the most frustrating update I've seen in my time involved in SEO because there doesn't seem to be any consistent logic or pattern behind what happened. And in lieu of someone cracking the code, I guess that means we're stuck with following Google's continuously sage advice that means absolutely nothing and offers very little help or guidance right for humans, right? Anyway, we'll keep following the latest around HCU and looking for recoveries. So to keep up with what we find, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Our last video did really well for a new channel and we're super appreciative. So if you could help us out by hitting the like button and sharing this video on social media, we'd greatly appreciate it. We'd also love to hear what you think in the comments. Is this study by Cyrus helpful at all to you? Do you think Google is going to fix things anytime soon? Or are we doomed to do parasite SEO on Reddit for a living?